Part 1: How to Profit Off of Grief. Right this way, madam. Please, make yourself comfortable. But why don't we have a chat before we begin? Tell me more about your dear husband. There. Yes, bless his poor soul. In a modest sitting room with curtains open to the afternoon sun, the widow perched like a shadow in the arms of a plush velvet seat. With her veil pulled back from her head, delicate fingers clutching the handkerchief she bought repeatedly to her large, sorrowful eyes, she made the perfect image. Picture perfect. The poor grieving soul that the gentleman sitting before her so often received. A poet might have described her glistening eyes as deep pools of wretched misery, or oceans that had no end. But Arthur Hope was not a poet. His only observation about the woman's face was his hope that she wouldn't burst into tears during the sitting. Arthur made his living off of grief, of course, but dealing with grieving was another tiresome facet of his profession. As the widow went on about her poor deceased lover, his gentle and charitable nature, and so on, he carefully prodded her, now and again, about the man's general features, forming an image in his head of how best to shape his next creation. A young man with a lion's mane of bright hair, average height, deep-set eyes. I'm sure I have a plate matching that description somewhere. It's a good thing to have that wig handy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a real picture to take first. There are so many things I wish I said to him. Oh, he told me not to worry, but I'm sure he is a wonderful man, madam. I'm sorry once again for your loss. You know, I always tell my clients I can never guarantee when my camera might capture a spirit. But today, I feel almost certain he might be in the room with us. Why don't we take your picture now and see for ourselves? Oh yes, of course. Make yourself at home. I'll be right back. Center your subject within frame. Whoa, we're taking a picture now. Well, this is cool. But why is it upside down? That should leave enough space to add a spirit. We're ready to begin. Please stay still until I tell you when the exposure is complete. Yes. If you're there, my darling, please show yourself, please. Arthur Hope hadn't always been a charlatan. Once he had been Artie, a shy and painfully honest boy with angelic blue eyes and a limitless imagination. He spared every chance he could in his uncle's library, losing himself in tales of monsters and terror. They were never so frightened as the real world around him, he could honestly say. Honestly, however, would rarely turn out to help him. Honestly had not stopped his uncle's cane, nor his withering looks. It did not protect him from his schoolmates' vicious pranks, nor impress the teachers. Gray, hollowed men with thinning hair and thick spectacles at various boarding schools that always inevitably sent him back home. It hadn't always been his fault. One had simply closed due to an unfortunate scarlet fever outbreak. No, it was a liar's world, and by the time Arthur Hope first found himself behind the lens of his late uncle's sliding box camera, he'd built, well, if not a kingdom of lies, then at least a barony. At just shy of 30, his schemes had brought him an unsteady income and the regard of a handful of influential friends, few of whom knew his background or how much he truly borrowed from them. Arthur's uncle had taken up photography late in his life, and having no family save for his troublesome nephew, had left the young man the aging house he turned into his studio, along with a small fortune in equipment after his death. Arthur had little interest in profession beforehand, but even he could not resist the allure of burgeoning technology that was so much like magic. Capturing light through a mechanical eye, preserving an image of the world a single moment in time, was something just like the tales of mystery he grew up on. The ability to capture of his own likeness was, of course, its own draw. He had a fair face he was not shy to admit, and would like a reminder of it should he ever have the misfortune of living a long life. Carefully, he slid the plate holder out from the camera's wooden frame. A pile of discarded glass plates and blurry album and prints sat on the table beside him, the fruits of his earlier attempts. I have a good feeling about this one. Let's get you to a dark room, shall we? It was the print formed in the early afternoon sun that Arthur Hope saw his uncle's ghost in the frame beside him. Whoa. Spirit caught on camera. Are we making it on the news? Whoa. Photographer captures ghostly images. Ghost photographs shock the world. Spirit photography, the man behind the camera. Are spirits all around us? Ghost photographer Arthur H. Hope claims to have the answer. This is so cool. Now, what do I do? Am I supposed to put it here? Ah, okay. It was only after a sleepless night of waiting for a spirit to accost him, then furiously rifling through his uncle's equipment, that he realized he'd made a simple and perfectly ordinary mistake. One little mistake, huh? Photographic plates have to be cleaned very thoroughly to remove any imprint left behind by a previous negative. Arthur, an amateur, had not done so. Wait, what does that mean? Oh, I guess we left like a handprint or something. Thus, a trace of one of his uncle's self-portraits remained on the glass plate he'd used for his own. Oh, I see. But the fact that the image had lined up so perfectly was nothing short of a miracle. So his grandfather's image mixed in with the image he took. I see. A miracle that sparked the idea for a brand new, lucrative story in Arthur's mind. Oh, this is where we start scamming people. This is how we profit off of grief. It's him. Oh, my darling. I knew you were with me all this time. Thank you, Mr. Hope. Thank you. He looks so peaceful. I don't know what to say. Overwhelmed, the widow began to sob. Arthur patted her back gently. I can earn more of it if I make them come back for a sitting or two before I give them a spirit. Look, I felt sorry for her this time. But growing soft. Not at all, madam. It brings me joy to know you have a guardian spirit watching over you, even beyond the grave. I can be at peace now, thanks to you. Please, take this. She handed him a stack of crisp banknotes, far more than agreed upon sum. Oh, are you rich? I can't possibly, madam. I insist. Ha, not a bad use of time after all. I like this guy's way of thinking. I am gonna have to take notes. Part 2. Portrait of a Girl. Late in the evening, a knock came at Arthur's door. The widow had been his last appointment of the day, but it was all too common for unwanted visitors to arrive long after closing. Sometimes it was the press, sometimes an angry skeptic, sometimes a wretched, grieving soul who would beg for his charity. Arthur. I'm going to ignore it. I already got my money for the day after all. He got up only to stretch, then returned to the desk where his correspondence was piled. More requests to travel for sittings. It's high time I open a separate studio. But perhaps it'd be better to leave this town entirely first. His thoughts were interrupted by another knock, soon another. Perhaps I should at least see who it is. Well, there's a reason I ignored it. Arthur crept down the staircase to the entryway of the old house and quietly approached the door. He carefully looked through the spy hole. Stood there in the rain was a girl. She didn't seem to have an umbrella or a raincoat, and she didn't even have a face. It was a miracle she wasn't drenched thoroughly. Perhaps she had arrived by carriage. But Arthur hadn't heard one approaching, and none were stopped in the street. Tap, tap, tap. Once more, she rapped on his door. Rapping? Arthur wondered how long she'd been standing there. He decided to... I'm gonna stick to my ignorance. Arthur stepped back from the door, but once more the knocking came, growing more desperate. Oh, it got aggressive. Perhaps she needs help. I hate to get involved, but it wouldn't do me good to become known for letting some poor soul catch her death in the rain. With some hesitation, Arthur swung the door open. Can I help you, miss? In the gloom of the rain, lit with only the light coming from the hall, the young woman was surprisingly lovely. I had the same thought. She looked about 20, with a face so fair she could have been a porcelain doll, if not for the deep brown eyes that stared with such vivid intensity from behind her dark lashes. Locks of her chestnut hair spilled from a bonnet trimmed with wide ribbons and silk roses. Her gown was made of rich green satin and fine white lace and looked expensive, yet at least a decade out of style. Whoa. The girl clearly came from money, but it seemed that she, or her guardians, had dated taste. Isn't that what it's called, like, old money? Are you the photographer? Her voice was soft, but did not betray any nervousness. Her brown eyes stared right at him, almost. Arthur felt straight through him. Well, yes, but my friends call me Arthur. I don't wish to become your friend, sir. Wow, we're starting off pretty bad. But if you are indeed who you say you are, then I require your services. Making demands straight away, huh? Definitely a rich lass, perhaps even highborn. In that case, best to hear her out. What can I do for you, miss? You're the photographer, are you not? Did we not already establish this? I need you to take my picture. I'd be happy to make an appointment with you, miss, but I can't guarantee a spirit will appear. I don't want anyone or anything else in the photograph. I just need my picture taken. A likely story. She wouldn't be the first to ask for a simple, ordinary sitting, while secretly hoping for a ghost to appear. Well, I'm fully booked for quite a while, but I'd be happy to arrange a sitting. Wait, actually, I'm thinking, I bet she's like a ghost and she wants to see if she appears in the photograph. You have no one with you now, so why can't you take my picture? Miss, it's late. Lamplight makes for a poor image, and I'd have to wait until daylight to make the print in any case. But I also emphasize how inappropriate it is for a young lady to call upon a man uninvited after dark. Please. One picture, it's all I ask. Please, I've been waiting so very long. Yeah, I should. I'm going to send her away. I'm sticking to being a mini poo-poo head. I think I've made my answer clear, miss. Good day. Please. Arthur slammed the door closed. He waited there for a moment, perhaps out of a small sense of remorse for leaving a desperate girl alone in the rain, but no further knocking came. Perhaps I could have offered her an umbrella, but she didn't even ask. And it isn't my concern anyway. Sparing one final glance at the door, turned his back and retreated up the staircase to study once more. Time passed, and Arthur soon forgot about his strange visitor. Right this way, Mr. Harper. Can I offer you any tea? None, thank you. Of course. Ah, did you bring a guest with you for the sitting? What? No, I came alone. Then, who was that? Well, never mind. Memento Mori. Oh, it's like that Markiplier thing. I actually forgot what Memento Mori means. But whatever. We're just a cold alpha male. That's our ending one. And I think I was right. It looked like she was a ghost. Okay, so we're back here, but before I choose to hear her out, I just want to say that if we do open the door, the same thing happens, just we have the same dialogue faster. Now, hear her out. Can I at least ask why you need a photograph so badly? There's somebody I must send my picture to. Somebody who I haven't seen in a very long time who needs to see how I look now. How I've changed. There are plenty of other studios that could accommodate you. None of them would open their doors to me. None of them are like you. There truly is nobody in this world like you, sir. Wait a minute. I'm gonna take another guess. Well, actually, I think I remember reading the description. You know what, I won't spoil anything. I won't say anything. Well, if there's anything I can't resist besides a large purse, it's flattery. And let's admit it, that sweet face isn't an easy one to refuse. Wow, I totally agree with that one. Being around sobbing fools all day really has turned me soft. Fine, you convinced me. Please step this way, miss. Edith. Edith Harper. Oh. Could it be that from ending one that was her like a relative of hers? Interesting. Can I offer you any tea? None, thank you. Please, can we hurry? As you wish. Okie dokie. Time to take another picture. How do I move this? There we go. Still upside down for some reason. Maybe it's like a thing with old cameras. Maybe it's just being historically accurate. But for some reason I can't get it positioned. Finally. We'll need more candles. I can't get an image like this. Technology is awfully inconvenient. Well, not nowadays. You could have come by during daylight, you know. Now, with the addition of candles... Where is she? Is this where we find out she's a ghost? Wait, where did she go? Are you ready yet? Huh. She appeared. Yes. We can begin now. What's come over me? We're falling in love. That's what's coming over us. First, I let some arrogant, ill-mannered girl walk over me like a carpet. Now I'm seeing things. $59, $60. Done. You can move now, miss. Is that all? Good. I'll go prepare the plate now. But again, you have to come back tomorrow for the print, Miss Harper. I open at... I'll visit you at the same time tomorrow evening. Good night, sir. Wait. Okay, now... We're just gonna completely forget her now. No, we didn't. You let her go. Oh wait, let me go back real quick. Let me save. Never mind. I'll see you tomorrow then. Disregarding his protest, he slipped from the room, through the entryway, and out the front door into the rainy night. She didn't even ask to borrow an umbrella. Damn it, I forgot to discuss payment too. It's all about money. Well, hopefully she brings enough with her tomorrow. Now, I have to get this plate ready before it dries, but after that, perhaps I'll retire early. It certainly has been an interesting night. Hey, we're not seeing things. We're not that old yet. That night, Arthur Hope had strange dreams. Part 3. Phantoms. A chill wind rocked the house, rapping against the walls. Figures crept around the edges of Arthur's vision, flickering like flames, hovering like moths. A weight covered his entire body. He could not shift or twist his limbs. The blankets engulfing him felt like earth packed with stones. The blankets engulfing him felt like earth packed with stones. Heavy, cold, damp. Is something happening to us? Something wriggled under his clothes, creeping up his neck, over the side of his cheek, into his eye sockets. Whoa. What is happening? Another crawled into his open mouth, slithered down his windpipe. Well, this is way too descriptive. He tried to scream, but not a sound came. His jaw was locked in place. His lungs were still. More writhing things engulfed him, eating at his flesh, taken between his bones. Arthur jerked violently out of bed, gasping. Cold air filled his lungs, bringing him back to the waking world. He rubbed his eyes, then struck a match and lit a candle at his bedside table. His flame danced as he lifted it, gingerly, in the dark. No use trying to go back to sleep after that. Water first, then I'll head to my study and read. Yeah, would you guys go back to bed right after a bad dream? I mean, there's really no other option if it's in the middle of the night. Anyways. I hope it's Edith. What? Tap, tap, tap. That's a familiar noise. A noise rang out in the dark. Arthur listened. Sure, it must be rain on the roof or shatter against the windows. But the sound was too close to from outside. No, it was more like a knock, maybe? Footfalls, the creaking of floorboards. Nope, never mind. Good lord, did someone break in while I was asleep? Quietly, Arthur reached beside his bed for the familiar weight of his uncle's cane. Familiar. Then carefully, cautiously stood up. Oh. I see. I cannot seem to find what I am looking for. Oh. Get a hold of yourself, Art. A burglar is nothing. We've dealt with worse. What, our uncle? Or grandpa? I actually forgot who now. Uh-oh. It's getting louder. Still nothing. It's pounding in my chest. It's all thanks to that blasted dream. And to the light again. Hello? I know you're there. Come out. Nothing. Did I imagine it? I'm sure I heard a sound. Behind us? The sound came again, but thicker, heavier, clunking along the wooden floorboards. Uh-oh. Arthur continued through the house, heartbeat growing faster, louder, more erratic with every step. His grip never left the hefty weight of the wooden cane. I'll teach you never to lie to me again, boy. I didn't, I swear it. Then who left it out in the rain? This book was worth more than your sorry hide. But the cane seemed to grow heavier in his hand, then warmer, then white hot like a flame. Arthur jerked and dropped it from his hand. What the? It landed on the floorboards with a thud. He brought his searing hand to the candlelight. It was burned straight through the bone. Oh, youch. Leaving ruined, melted flesh on his blackened skeleton. Fire engulfed his body. His skin melted from his flesh, crisping and charring. He let go of the candle, screaming. A tiny flame leapt at the wood and set it alight. Everything turned to smoke and fire and dust. Arthur tried to run, to scream again, but black smoke filled his lungs. Was our dream like foreshadowing? His body felt like it was buried in earth. Hot, burning earth. Nothing was left of him now but bones and ash. And then there was nothing left at all. Nothing but darkness. And the sound of that infernal cane. Arthur Hope's remains curled up on the floor, writhing like an insect. Wait, are we alive or dead? Oh no. Wait. Never mind. I really don't know. Uttering pitiable, I think is how you say that, choking cries that sputtered into rasping gasps. And there, as he lay on the floor, in the corner of his eye, blurry, barely visible, like a photographic negative, an after image, a phantom. It was Edith. A figure stood, ghostly white. Part 4. Portrait of a Ghost. Arthur Hope awoke at dawn in his bed. He lay silently, heart still racing as the faint, rubby light traced his face. He breathed in, then out, slowly, until his heartbeat steadied. So we're still alive? Then he gingerly sat up and rubbed his eyes. I haven't had dreams like this since that old man. Well, not in a long time. He felt beside his bed. The familiar, terrible weight of that old wooden cane rested in the same spot it always did. A quick look in the mirror as he dressed confirmed that his body and skin remained intact and unburned. And he was none the worse for wear, save for a dark shadow blooming around his eyes. That morning, he skipped his usual perusal of the paper and crept up to his study. Unearthing a pen and ink and an old journal from his drawer instead. Familiar old handwritings and scribbles peeked out from the pages. Why am I so shaken up that I've returned to this? It's a shame no one's invented a camera that can capture dreams yet. Will this be our next scandal? But I suppose then there'd be no need for poets. The hours passed by, yet the previous night had left him in such a daze that it was only after he sent off the tearful client in the late afternoon did Arthur remember the strange girl and her odd request. Damn it, it's cloudy out. but there should be enough light to get a print. Arthur carefully set the glass plate in the painting frame, secured a sheet of albumen paper against it, then closed the case and set it by a windowsill. Now to let it sit. It was as the last rays of sun faded that Arthur Hope pulled the image from the frame and stared straight into the face of a corpse. Our corpse, I'm assuming? Oh, never mind. What in the... The negative looked fine when I put it in. Did I expose it onto the wrong plate? But none of my ghosts look like this. That girl, Edith. She must have tampered with it. But why? We still don't understand, huh? What does she want with me? There's the knocking. A familiar rapping came at that door. Damn, I should have said that familiar knocking. Arthur stared at the doorway with a sick feeling in his chest. I'm gonna not answer. We don't want to mess with Edith. I mean, not for now anyways. Oh, there's that aggressive knocking again. Arthur waited for the sound, the infernal sound, to stop. He buried his head in his arms. I've had enough of this. Enough. Gradually, the tapping softened, then slowed. Finally, it fell silent. Arthur breathed a deep sigh, then quietly got up and peeked through the spy hole. I'm assuming we're gonna see the corpse again. Nobody was there. Man, I've been wrong about all my guesses so far. No girl in green satin. Not a single soul. Arthur gritted his teeth and turned away. Why are you so upset? What? Whoa. Gah! The girl who stood in his sitting room wore no bonnet or day dress. Dirt and soil and damp, dark stains clung to her bare feet and rotted, ruined nightgown. Her skin clung to her flesh in patches, pieces of it eaten away, rotted to the bone. Well, technically, I'm not so wrong now, because this corpse is right in front of us. Her long hair was matted in thick tangles. Her eyes were gaping hollows. Someone of your profession certainly startles easily. Miss Harper. What do you want? This isn't funny. Certainly not. I'd like my photograph, please. What kind of trick is this? You're the ghost photographer, are you not? Isn't that why you agreed to take my picture? You're a ghost? You expected me to be among the living? Well, perhaps proper introductions are in order. My name is Edith Emmeline Harper. I died in an accident 11 years ago, in this very same house. I'll spare you the details, but in short, I found it rather upsetting that my body still hasn't been discovered. So when I heard about you, I decided to take matters into my own hands. You expect me to believe any of this? Is this new to you? I thought you were more of the worldly type. See for yourself then. Edith reached out toward him. Arthur jerked back, but the girl did not flinch. She gently lifted a filthy hand to his face. Arthur waited for the feeling of rotten flesh, but the girl's skin was smooth and cold. But isn't she a ghost? Wouldn't it just pass through us? It's whatever. I like this physical touch. Ice cold. Or too cold and still to belong to something living. As her bony fingers lingered on his face, he felt his skin grow colder. Tingling until it felt something was crawling beneath it. Oh, god dang it, we got maggots under our skin now. That's enough. Fine. Fine. You're dead. So what does a goat want with me then? I want you to send the photograph to my brother. The stupid fool thinks I ran off with some man. Me? Elope? Honestly. Tell him to look for me near the old chapel where we used to play. Why don't you tell him yourself? Why haunt me? Very few people can see or hear ghosts, Mr. Hope. And of them, well, let's say that few murderers end up as professional photographers. What did you say? Wait, are we a murderer? There was only one thing in common between the people who could see or hear me, Mr. Hope. They had all killed before. Part 5. Memento Vivere. This is taking quite a turn. Arthur Hope wasn't always a charlatan. Once, he'd been a penniless young man struggling to make an honest living, and often had to supplement his income through other means. When one day a letter arrived to him from his elderly uncle, requesting his assistance around the household due to the old man's ailing health. Oh, I'm gonna take a guess that we killed our own uncle. Young Art packed his few belongings and headed to what he hoped would be a welcome reunion. That hope would quickly be dashed. I never killed anyone. I didn't. I didn't kill him. I didn't mean to. Oh, we gave it away. He had half a foot in the grave already, so I didn't. Arthur. I just wanted to scare him. He deserved that much. He treated me like dirt my entire life. And then, when he called me to his sickbed, I thought maybe he'd apologize to me just once. But no. The old man wanted to cut me out of his will. Me, his only flesh and blood. Just to spite me. He knew that I had nothing. He knew that the money was the difference between life and death, but all he wanted was to spit in my face at the end. What else could I have done? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Look at you. You're alive, aren't you? So long as you're alive, you can change. You can claw yourself out from whatever hell you've built. It's only us ghosts who have been stuck in the past. Yet, You've become haunted all this time, haven't you? It's done. I signed it in your name, so he'll be sure to open it. Thank you. Arthur Hope carefully placed the sealed envelope into his coat and dusted himself off. His possessions, most of things that belonged to his uncle, rather had all been sold or given away. Pale daylight filtered through the curtains onto an almost empty room. The house felt like a ghost of itself. Arthur picked up his worn leather suitcase, packed with few belongings he'd first arrived with long ago, and checked that the envelope was still in his pocket. Then, when he walked down the empty hall, he stopped when he saw the familiar shape of the wooden cane resting against the wall. It's either the cane the uncle used the cane to beat us, or we used the cane to kill him. He briefly picked it up, feeling its weight, ran his fingers along its aged surface, then sighed and set it down. He walked out the front door without looking back, a figure only he could see trailing behind him. What will you do? Start over. Or try to. I need time to sort out all my messes. Time away from here. It's not like I have anything trying me to this place. I do wonder though, if ghosts exist, why didn't the old man ever haunt me? Perhaps he had no reason to say. Ghosts aren't eternal, they fade away, just like people do. Like, I will too, is what it sounds like she wants to say. Oh, interesting. Arthur exited the post office and decided to walk to the harbor. The air was cool and damp. He carefully stepped over puddles left behind from the rain, weaving between passerby. People rushing here, there, without any break in their monotone lives. But at least they were alive. What will you do? What I've done for the past decade, I suppose. Wander around, see the sights, watch my brother and my nieces. Wait until I get sick of the living world, then see what lies beyond. I see. Well, I guess this is goodbye. Yes, for now at least. Just what I was about to say. We'll be seeing you in another ending. I think. Everybody dies, you know. Perhaps I'll see you again sooner than you think. Okay. Farewell, Edith. As the ship pulled away from the harbor, Arthur spotted a familiar face amongst the passengers on the deck. Mr. Hope, is that you? Oh, it's the widow. Madam, what brings you here? I'm returning home to see my family. I know my dear Samuel wouldn't want me to be all by myself. But what about you? I'm doing some traveling. Oh, just a moment. You have a bit of dust on your shoulder. As the young woman's attention was diverted, Arthur deftly slipped a wad of banknotes into her pocket. Oh, that's pretty smooth. Looks like we're becoming a better person. I wish you all the best, madam. You as well, Mr. Hope. Take care. As the widow walked off, Arthur turned and gazed out to the sea. The sky had cleared, and sunlight now sparkled on the crashing waves. He stared at the shore and thought he could see, for a moment, a flash of green standing in the harbor. But the next moment, it was gone. Fiend. That was the ending? Wait, no. Arthur H. Hope would be arrested and convicted on fraud charges within the next 5 years. It seemed he never could change his old habits. He was unable to complete his sentence, however, as his health would quickly worsen. He succumbed to consumption in a matter of months. His last words were supposedly a name, Edith. Coincidentally, it would be Miss Edith Amy Harper who would compile the poems he'd written during his short imprisonment and publish them, what the heck, posthumously. I think I said that right. Yet nobody could figure out, in the end, just how he'd made his ghost appear in his photographs. Or if they were real all along. Ending 3. Carmen Signy. That was the third ending. How'd I skip the second one? Okay, we're back at this option, and I think what I was supposed to do, I took a look at the ending guide, and supposedly I was supposed to not open the door at least twice. And now I hear her out. I'm just gonna skip this part. So we're back here now, and things should change when I choose this option. It looks like it's the same thing. I'm just gonna do another skip. Oh, now at this option, once again, dialogue's still the same. No need to worry about missing anything. I'm gonna just choose he did not. It's still the same thing. I may have to do another skip. Okay, so this is where it changes. I went up ahead, but I went back. Part 5, Memento Mori. Arthur Hope wasn't always a charlatan. This is where it's different now. Once, he'd simply been a desperate man. Once. Now that was no longer the case. Nobody looked twice at the well-dressed gentleman with twinkling blue eyes. Even though he's far too young to need the heavy walking stick he carried as he, tripes it, I believe, urn in hand, to the shore side. There, he tossed a pile of ashes into the sea. Then, he turned and walked back the way he came. I never killed anyone. We just got a little bit of a different backstory. But this appears to be the same. And once again, another skip. Oh wait, no, not another skip. Get out now. And don't come back. Oh, it is different. I still need you. I'm done helping you. Done. The dead should stay dead. They should stay out of affairs of the living, damn it. Haven't I given enough? Haven't I suffered enough? How much more are you going to take from me? The girl looked at him with hollow, empty eye sockets. Her mouth was set in what almost looked like an expression of pity. When Arthur looked at her again, she was gone. Time passed, and the days moved on much like they always had. But Arthur never completely forgot his ghostly visitor. Sometimes he imagined he could see her hollow face peeking from behind a doorway, or the corner of the frame of his sliding box camera. But the next moment, it would be gone. Arthur's clients continued to visit him, seeking to soothe their sorrow and grief, and Arthur continued to provide what only he could. And he might have done so for a long time, if not for that one ghost that turned out to be quite alive. A distraught young woman had visited him after her beloved had died at sea. His ship sunk beneath the waves. Yet a few weeks after his ghost portrait was taken, he turned up right at his beloved's doorstep, thin and haggard, but very much still breathing. It seemed that after the ship sank, the sailor miraculously washed up on a desert island, where he survived off of kelp and rainwater for some weeks before finally being rescued. Uh-oh, caught red-handed. Soon people began to talk, and more inconsistencies in the spirit photographs came to be noticed. Until finally one day, an angry crowd formed at Arthur's doorstep. But by then, the confident trickster had fled. Arthur Hope was never seen or heard from again. Indeed, the name Hope soon became forgotten as other so-called spiritualists and mediums followed in his footsteps, claiming to speak to the dead or hear otherworldly voices. Most of them were frauds. Not a scant few truly believed in their own powers. So desperate, they were to speak to their departed loved ones. Edith pitied them more than she pitied the bloodied ghosts she would pass by every now and then. Ghosts like the man who once had devilish eyes and smiled slyly from behind a sliding box camera. He would appear from time to time in the window of the old house till it was destroyed. And then along the shore of the sea on nights when the fog rolled in. Edith knew that the living would never dare hope to hear the voices of the dead. If they only knew the sound of Arthur Hope's blood-curdling screams. What? Ending 2. Sic transit gloria mundi. I have no idea what that means. Okay, so now we're gonna get the fourth and final ending, the one where we've all been waiting for. And now we have to stop her, concerned. Do you need me to call you a carriage? It's awfully rainy. Oh, that's sweet of you, but decorum isn't necessary. You don't have to act concerned for me. She smiled a little sadly, but quickly turned her back and again headed for the doorway. It's 'cause she's a ghost. I'll be back soon. Good night. Disregarding his protest, she slipped from the room, through the entryway and out of the front door into the rainy night. She didn't even ask to borrow an umbrella while we're back here. I forgot to discuss proper payment too. But hopefully she brings enough with her tomorrow. Now I have to get this plate ready before it dries. But before that, perhaps I'll retire early. It certainly has been an interesting night. Maybe I should have done a skip. Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing over. So everything has been the same, and now we're finally gonna answer the door. Arthur stomped to the door and flung it open, 1,000 questions and accusations on his tongue. You have a lot to explain, Miss Harper. This isn't... Nobody was there. No girl in green satin. Not a single soul. Arthur gritted his teeth and turned away. Why are you so upset? Oh, looks like this is also the same. So it may not look like I have skipped, but I actually went forward and there was a slight change, so I will be going over this section again. The girl who stood in the sitting room wore no bonnet or day dress. Dirt and soil and damp, dark stains clung to her bare feet and rotted, ruined nightgown. Her skin clung to her flesh in patches, pieces of it were eaten away and rotted to the bone. Her long hair was matted in thick tangles. Her eyes were gaping hollows. Someone of your profession certainly startles easily. Miss Harper, what do you want? This isn't funny. Certainly not. I'd like my photograph, please. What kind of trick is this? You're the ghost photographer, are you not? Isn't that why you agreed to make my picture? You're a ghost? You expected me to be among the living? Well, perhaps proper introductions are in order. My name is Edith Emmeline Harper. I died in an accident 11 years ago. I'll spare you the details, but in short, I found it rather upsetting that my body still hasn't been discovered. So when I heard about you, I decided to take matters into my own hands. You expect me to believe any of this? Is this new to you? I thought you were more of the worldly type. See for yourself then. And this is where it's slightly different. Edith reached out toward him. Arthur jerked back, but the girl did not flinch. She gently lifted a filthy hand to his face. Arthur waited for the feeling of rotten flesh, but the girl's skin was smooth and cold. Ice cold. Far too cold, and still to belong to something living. Her fingers lingered there until finally Arthur grasped her hand with his own. It felt like gripping ice. The longer he held, the more his own skin grew cold and numb. And then, prickled like something was crawling beneath it. So it was only like a slight difference. That's enough. Fine. Fine. You're dead. So what does a goat want with me then? I want you to send a photograph to my brother. The stupid fool thinks I ran off with some man. And I will skip this. I'm gonna skip unless I find a part that's slightly different. Okay, so we're back here and this is where it changes, where after Arthur gets to know and decides to leave behind his cowardly profession, this is where it changes. Say, Can ghosts travel? Far away from where they died, I mean? I don't know. I can't say I've ever tried. Well, would you like to? Heck yeah. Please come with us. Would you like to join me? I mean, countless years without anyone to talk to sounds awfully dull. I thought you said you had enough of ghosts. Fake ghosts. Metaphorical ghosts. Not the real thing. Well, I suppose I had better keep an eye on you. Who knows? Who knows what trouble you'll dig yourself into? You are far better company than some of the serial killers I've met. That's horrifying. And fascinating. Tell me more. Oh, nice. As the ship pulled away from the harbor, Arthur spotted a familiar face amongst the passengers on deck. It's the madam, the widow. Mr. Hope, is that you? Madam, what brings you here? I'm returning home to see my family. I know my dear Samuel wouldn't want me to be by myself. But what about you? I'm doing some traveling. Oh, just a moment, you have a bit of dust on your shoulder. Dang, the smooth move again. As the young woman's attention was diverted, Arthur deftly slipped a wad of banknotes into her pocket. I wish you all the best, madam. You as well, Mr. Hope. Take care. Edith? The girl had stepped away to watch the sea, transfixed on the deep blue that stretched towards the horizon. The sky had cleared, and sunlight now sparkled on the crashing waves. Arthur stood beside her, quietly, and gazed out as the ship slowly sailed away from the shore. If he were a poet, he might have tried to describe the color of the sky or the depths of the waters breaking around them. But he only sighed and felt a little sorry that his sliding box camera hadn't fit in the case. Fiend. Well, we got to go away with Edith. Arthur H. Hope would succumb to the consumption within a decade, but only after writing a series of beloved mystery novels that featured a cunning detective and his unusual companion, Ghost. He became known for his odd habits, including carrying a sliding box camera around with him and seemingly always talking to himself. His last words were supposedly a name, Edith. To his dying day, he never revealed just how he made his ghost appear in his photographs. Some believe they were simply real all along. Ending 4, Carpe Diem. And I don't even know what that means either. Well, that is it for Portrait of a Ghost. I personally really enjoyed this. This was a unique experience. And if you guys also enjoyed this video, leave a comment or like show some love. I would gladly be willing to play more from this creator because this creator does have more of these visual novels. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you continue watching my content in the future, and I wish you all a very good night.